Oh boy, The Last Jedi. Rian Johnson's infamous Star Wars film that, even to this day, is still the cause of thousands of Twitter arguments. Even 4 years after its release, it still manages to be one of the most divisive films of all time. I'd like to assume the majority of people like this movie, but their presence is overshadowed by the hundreds of thousands of people that seem to think that Rose Tico ruined their entire lives. But today, I don't really want to rant against the people that don't like the movie. I just want to talk about why I personally love it. So, let's get started. First, I just want to talk about how beautiful I think the movie is. Star Wars has always had pretty great cinematography, but I think The Last Jedi uses contrast in such an amazing way. Color is such an important part of Star Wars, and I feel like The Last Jedi steps it up a whole notch with it in a lot of scenes. Just look at the throne room fight, or the scenes on Crate. Even some of the scenes with darker color palettes manage to add color to cut through that darkness. This alone would make me excited for Rian Johnson's Star Wars trilogy, but thankfully, there's more for me to love. One of the things that I've heard some people bring up is that the characters have no development. Every time I hear this, I wonder if they actually watched the movie or if they just based their opinion on some sexist's video. There's plenty of great character arcs in the film. Just take Luke's arc, for example. I know most Star Wars fans hate the way they changed Luke from a perfect hero to a jaded fallen idol, but in my opinion, this was the perfect place to take his character. Making him hate the Jedi after having failed to protect them makes his character so much more interesting, and it set up perfectly with the themes of the movie and how his failures shouldn't mean the end of the Jedi. They teach him how to be better. That's what character arcs should be. Finn also had a pretty obvious arc. It's a bit similar to his arc in The Force Awakens, but I thought his arc was much more well done in this movie. Having him learn to put his faith in the Resistance should have been an arc that spanned the whole trilogy, and it kind of seems like Rian Johnson was trying to continue his arc in The Force Awakens and build upon it. I especially love the scene when he's prepared to sacrifice his life to save the Resistance. But I guess that brings me to the biggest complaint people have with the movie: Rose Tico. Rose is arguably one of the most hated aspects of the movie. Either people found her arc to be boring, or they found her to be an insufferable character that ruins the Star Wars universe. And respectfully, I disagree with both views. A lot of people thought that her subplot was useless. It technically can be seen as pointless because they didn't get anything done, but it can also be seen as a subplot that reinforces the themes of learning from failures. And I also like that she served as a different kind of character than what we're used to in the series. Most characters are ace pilots, skilled Jedis, or princesses, but Rose isn't any of those. She's a normal woman that lost her sister to the war. I would have loved to see more of her in The Rise of Skywalker, but I guess since most fans hated her, they cut her screen time. But a lot of what people hate about her seems to be summed up in the last line, the infamous,
"That's how we're gonna win. Not fighting what we hate. Saving what we love."
I've heard dozens of arguments on how that line doesn't make sense in the context of Star Wars, or how it doesn't make sense since her sister died fighting what she hated, which is an actual argument I've heard, but none of it have been able to change my opinion. I feel like a lot of people complain about the line not matching up with what Star Wars is, but that isn't true. Star Wars does feature war, yes, but war isn't about just destroying things and blowing ships up. War is about protecting what you love, whether it be a nation, family, or friends. We shouldn't be going to war for something trivial, like oil. War is a last resort, and it's only necessary when people need to be protected. The war in Star Wars is the exact same. The Resistance is fighting to protect the galaxy. Of most of the main characters in The Last Jedi, Rose would be the most likely to understand that war is about saving what you love. Her sister sacrificed her life for an order that cost so much more than it gained. She saved one of the only other people she loved from facing the same fate, and she's demonized by fans for doing so. It just makes no sense. Rose serves as a reminder to the viewers that war isn't a good thing, and that glorifying war as blowing stuff up isn't the right way to view it. I said earlier in the video that I didn't want to rant against people that dislike the movie, and I know it kind of seems like I am, but I just want to reiterate that I don't care if you dislike the movie or not. I understand some of the sentiments, sure. Maybe killing Snoke wasn't the greatest idea. It is a long movie, and I can see how people would find it boring. I just dislike when people reuse arguments that make no sense. Arguments like Rose and Rey being the worst characters in all of Star Wars for being useless, or Mary Sue's without providing reasoning past "I watched it in a video." Or when people slow down fight scenes to analyze every tiny mistake that the stunt team makes. And yeah, it's their opinions, but sometimes those opinions stray too far from being criticisms of the work, and they morph into hating people for trying their hardest to make a film that's different, that's new, that means more. We shouldn't hate Rian Johnson for trying to make some interesting choices, and we shouldn't hate Kelly Marie Tran or the other actors for portraying characters that you don't like. Sure, there are some movies that I don't like, but I don't hate the people that made those movies. Everyone involved in a production tries their hardest to make something that people will like, so we shouldn't hate those people for trying.